What's up, everybody? How the hell's your day going? Welcome back to the channel. This here's Legitical Response. We cover political news. We keep you up to date on exactly what the government is doing because we all need to keep up with the government. So if you're interested in staying informed and staying up to date, smash that subscribe button for me if you don't mind and turn on your notifications. That's the best way to keep up. And if you also could, do me a big favor before we get started, look right below the video and smash that like button for me. I would greatly appreciate that if you could, I'll ask nicely, please do me a big favor and smash it. But hey, let's go ahead and get into it right quick because I change the format sometimes a little bit. So we're gonna just jump right into this. Now we all know that the climate is changing, right? A lot of people do believe this. The science is there. We can tell that the climate is changing. Now, the one thing I have questions about, I'm a little bit skeptical on this. Are humans actually changing it enough that we think that we can reverse course on this, right? How do we know the changes that are happening aren't for the best? How do we know that the changes that are happening aren't natural? How do we know this? There's good evidence to show that humans are pushing the climate in a certain direction, but the climate change agenda, I believe, is bunk. These people are outright insane. Some of them, you got these protesters all over the place. They'll get out there and they'll block roads, right? They'll block. It's enough of a hassle, and it makes no sense when you think about it, right? They're getting out there and they're blocking these roads by sitting on the road, right? So now you're trying to stop people from driving vehicles, right? Which it's really, really hard to avoid driving a car these days, but they're trying to avoid driving vehicles. So they get out there and they block the road. Now you have a pileup of cars that are just sitting there idling, not going anywhere. Defeats the purpose, if you ask me. It's all a bunch. It's a religion. If you haven't noticed, look at the aspects on how some of these people act. It is a religion. And we have this thing in the United States called separation of church and state. It's not officially viewed upon as a religion. But like I said, when you look at each little tenet of the climate change agenda, it's very religious. But yeah, we're talking about the climate again today because there's an insane story came out. Check this out, you guys. Chicago sues 6 major oil companies for causing climate change. Yeah, they're actually doing this. And it's entertaining and frustrating and laughable all at the same damn time. This is outright nuts. On Tuesday, the city of Chicago sued 6 oil companies for allegedly causing climate change and affecting the city's residents. Yeah, they're actually doing this. Under Mayor Brandon Johnson's administration, the city has accused BP, Chevron, ConocoPhillips, ExxonMobil, Phillips 66, Shell, and the American Petroleum Institute of misleading consumers on the impact of their products and contributing to climate change. Yeah, you'll never believe some of the reasoning they give for some of this. This is outright ridiculous. Once again, this is like the same thing that these religious zealots do whenever there's a mass shooting, right? They want to go after Remington or one of the gun companies. They want to ban the gun instead of looking at the person that done it. I've said it before. When you have somebody drive over a bunch of people in a pickup truck, you don't see a bunch of people advocating for banning cars and going after Ford for that, right? It makes no sense. It makes no logical sense whatsoever. That's why there's such a pushback against some of this stuff. First off, we have the Second Amendment for a reason. You can't infringe upon our rights. You shouldn't be able to. They try really hard, especially with the First Amendment, with the government silencing people online, but we're not going to get off on tangent news today. But yeah, it's a religion. These people are insane. They're going after the oil companies, right? And these aren't the companies that drill for the oil. Well, some of them are, but there's other companies that do the drilling, right? And then they sell that oil, that crude, to these companies who then refine the oil into gasoline and then sell it like that. But it just doesn't make any sense. There's other factors that are causing climate change, right? It would not surprise me if these people turned around one day and tried to sue the planet Earth for a tornado destroying their house. That's how insane this sounds to me. I just wanted to get that point across. The climate change impacts that Chicago has faced and will continue to face, including more frequent and intense storms, flooding, droughts, extreme heat events, and shoreline erosion, are felt throughout every part of the city and disproportionately in low-income communities, the lawsuit said. Now, I'm going to pause right there just for a second because there's a few things we need to break down. Right? How in the hell are you going to be able to differentiate between the impact of natural flooding, natural storms, and all this other stuff versus the storms and flooding and all this other crap due to climate change? How are you going to be able to tell that this specific storm was more intense and caused more damage because of climate change? How do you know that? You don't. There's no way to know that because we're altering the climate. How do you know that these storms are more intense? How do you know this is not a natural progression, that this doesn't evolve on like a curve where these storms get more intense and then they fall off and then they get more intense and then they fall off? Because we've been tracking hurricanes for quite a long time. And the studies show that, yeah, some of the storms, we've had some of the most intense storms. However, they're less frequent these days than they were 100 years ago. That's very interesting. That's why I say it's a religion, because they seem to ignore studies and data that go against their religious beliefs. They'll totally reject that data. Oh, that doesn't matter, right? But this matters. Claiming, oh, it's climate change because it's hot today. What? The city contends that mitigation of these issues has cost nearly $200 million, The Hill reported. I would love to see the spreadsheet and the breakdown of that, and how they can justify each specific cost to each, to any change in climate that may or may not have actually affected whatever that cost was paid for. I have many questions, I'll put it that way. Plus, also, how does climate change and quote-unquote damage from climate change disproportionately affect low-income families? I would love to know how these people can decipher that this storm, due to climate change, damaged this house more because it's low income, because it's a lower income neighborhood. How did it disproportionately affect this neighborhood more than it did a rich neighborhood? I would really love to know that. I bet nobody has an answer for that question. If you do have an answer for that question, or if you think you have an answer for that question, please leave it down in the comments section. I would love to hear it. Because like I said, I've thought this through. And I don't see how you could actually say that a storm or flooding or anything caused by nature, any disaster caused by nature, could affect a neighborhood more than it does another neighborhood based upon the fact that these people are more poor than these other people. Love to know that. The Chicago Sun-Times reported that Chicago is following in the footsteps of New York and California. Oh, so it's a virtue signal. Right. There we go. Figured it out. Which have also sought to recoup billions in damages they blamed on the burning of fossil fuels. Oh, they're just money grabbing. That's all they're doing. They even say it right there. Which create carbon dioxide, plant food, and have led to climate change. Do these people not understand that carbon dioxide is what grass breathes? Is what trees breathe? I'm sorry, like I said, I'm not an expert on climate change. I don't know, so talk to a scientist if you have any questions. I'm just speculating and I'm curious. That's all. I'm just curious as to how the thought process goes into some of these people. That's all I'm doing. I'm not denying climate change. Because like I said in the beginning, the climate is changing. I don't know if I believe it's caused by humans, though. The lawsuit accused the industry of having funded, conceived, planned, and carried out a sustained and widespread campaign of denial and disinformation about the existence of climate change and their products' contribution to it. I got one brief statement for that. Can you prove it? Of course, I guess this lawsuit will show, right? The civil suit alleges 11 counts of fraud, nuisance, conspiracy, and negligence. The city says more than 700 deaths in the summer of 1995 were related to a 4-day heat wave. Okay, once again, I have many questions here. Can you prove, you don't have to have a smoking gun. Just give me enough evidence that those 700 people, the deaths of those 700 people, were caused because BP, Shell, ConocoPhillips sold gasoline to people to drive their cars, and that put chemicals into the planet that caused the planet to create stronger storms, a hotter summer. Can you prove that happened beyond, reasonable doubt, put it that way? And also, at the very same time, can you prove all 700 of those people did not have any significant health risks or negligence on their own part that happened to contribute to their death, right? Like not drinking enough water, or having a heart condition, or being a human and not realizing when you get overheated. There's no way they can prove that. There's no way they can give enough evidence to make somebody think, yes, those 700 deaths, that was BP's fault. I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. Unless you're some religious zealot and just want to believe it so bad that you'll believe anything, in which these people shouldn't be on a jury, or should not be a judge, should not be overseeing a court case that is absolutely insane. But let me know what you think about all this down in the comments section. Let me know, do you believe that the climate is changing because of human industrialization of the planet? I think there's enough evidence to say, yeah, sure, we are changing it. Do we know if it's for the better or for the worse? And second thing, let me know if you think that humans can innovate our way out of climate change. Like, innovate our way into some sort of climate control system for the entire planet. I believe that we can make it there one day. And I think that the climate change stuff, it takes such a long period because geological time periods are much longer than human lifespans. So for us to say that we've changed the climate enough in, what's it like 150 years? We could say 200 years of industrialization to change it that much, that quickly, that we don't have, another 200 years to innovate our way out of it, is basically what I'm getting at. I think we can change it. Let me know what you think down in the comment section. That's all I got for this one, y'all. I want to thank everybody for watching. And like I said, don't forget to hit that like button, please. If you don't mind, it would be a big help. And y'all try to have a good day and be positive. Peace.